Hi, I'm Jordan from BulletproofBJJ.com, and I'm putting together this brief introduction video to give you kind of an overview of what this website's about, and then importantly, who I am and where I come from, and what might make me qualified to talk about this stuff. So I'm somebody who my whole adult life I've been involved in pretty physically demanding disciplines. Starting off when I was about 17, I was involved in the martial art called Kembo, and this was also about the same time that the UFC first came out. And a lot of us quickly realized that these Brazilian guys were onto something. And so one of the black belts in my school found the closest teacher, and he would commute 2 hours out and 2 hours back once a week to learn from this guy. And he would bring back that information, and then we would start learning it secondhand. And this went on for a couple of years until I joined the Marine Corps. And so I was in the infantry in the Marines, and then went on to also be in the infantry in the California National Guard. And then post that, I became involved in executive protection with a company called Gavin Becker and Associates. And after I wrapped all that up, I decided that I would build my business doing personal training full time. And I highlight all this stuff to illustrate that these are all things where doing them, basically you take a hammering for a long time. And I had to figure out how to keep myself from getting torn apart being involved in such physically demanding things. And this is what led me to become a student of movement. So I did this through first looking at some yogic practices, and then a system developed by a gentleman named Paul Chek, and then functional movement screening, and ultimately with a system called Z Health Performance, which is more of a neurologically based system that we'll also get into. And then in Z Health Performance, I ultimately became a master trainer instructor. And what all of this basically kind of funneled down to was learning to understand the difference between efficient and inefficient movement. And then more importantly, knowing how to get people, myself included, from inefficient movement to efficient movement. And there are a lot of things that go into this. Things as simple as understanding good nutrition, having good recovery, learning to identify parts of your body that are inflexible and then making them flexible so that you're balanced, and then doing the same thing with your strength. Learning to identify which parts of my body might be super overpowered and then which parts might be underpowered, and how when we have these kinds of imbalances, these lead to injuries and then possibly exacerbate the incidence even of contact injuries. Because you might think, guy cranks my arm back too hard and I have a muscle tear, but potentially I could have delayed that or lessened the impact of it had I been more flexible, or had I been stronger at that range of motion. So we'll be getting to a lot of that stuff in the blog and in the associated videos, and my hope for you is that you try some of these things and then just see how you feel, see how you perform, see if it's better, and then see if some of your little nagging aches and pains go away, and hopefully that you're able to stay on the mat. I can distill all this down to that very simple thing. You stay on the mat. I also want to highlight that I'm not trying to teach anybody anything about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because even though I technically did start back in like 1994, I learned how to pull a guard, do rear naked choke, and rip an armbar, and then just did that for 20 years. And now after things have started to get a little bit quiet after I've successfully built my business, I'm now getting back in full time. So I might be the oldest white belt on the planet. I'm not sure.